you'll end up having more. If you concentrate on what you don't have, you will never, ever have enough. Oprah Winfrey. Gratitude turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos into order, confusion into clarity. It makes sense of our. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. Steve Jobs. Think about that for a moment. What if every day you woke up excited, driven by passion? In this video, we're exploring that possibility and many more. We've curated powerful quotes from some of history's most brilliant minds, designed to motivate you, challenge you, and help you unlock your full potential. Adversity is the first path to truth. Lord Byron. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. Steve Jobs. In times of adversity and change, we really discover who we are and what we're made of. C.S. Lewis. The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Nelson Mandela. Do not judge me by my success. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again. Nelson Mandela. It is not the mountain we conquer, but ourselves. Edmund Hillary. Adversity is like a strong wind. It tests our strength and resilience, but it also helps us to grow and become stronger. Paulo Coelho. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Franklin D. Roosevelt. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Winston Churchill. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra. Jimmy Johnson. Courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the judgment that something else is more important than fear. Ambrose Redmoon. The greatest test of courage is to continue in the face of disappointment. Ralph Waldo Emerson. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky. The only limit to our realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today. Frank. We can't direct the wind, but we can adjust the sails. Ellen DeGeneres. The most difficult thing is the decision to act. The rest is merely tenacity. Amelia Earhart. The greatest obstacle to success is the fear of failure. Dennis Waitley. Don't give up when you're tired, give up when you're done. Unknown. Success is not about how many times you win, but how many times you stand back up when you fall. Zig Ziglar. The only way to get through hard times is to keep going. Alice Walker. The most important thing is to never stop questioning. Albert Einstein. The only way to make your dreams come true is to start believing in them. Roger Babson. The only thing that stops us from achieving our dreams is ourselves. Paulo Coelho. The greatest rewards come from taking risks. Jack Welch. The best way to predict the future is to create it. Peter Drucker and Abraham Lincoln. The only way to grow is to step outside of your comfort zone. Neil Donald Walsh. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. Steve Jobs. What if every day you woke up excited, driven by passion? In this video, we're exploring that possibility and many more. We've curated powerful quotes from some of history's most brilliant minds, designed to motivate you, challenge you, and help you unlock your full potential. Adversity is the first path to truth. Lord Byron. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. Steve Jobs. In times of adversity and change, we really discover who we are and what we're of. C.S. Lewis. The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Nelson Mandela. Do not judge me by my success. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again. Nelson Mandela. It is not the mountain we conquer, but ourselves. Edmund Hillary. Adversity is like a strong wind. It tests our strength and resilience, but it also helps us to grow and become stronger. Paulo Coelho. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Franklin D. Roosevelt. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Winston Churchill. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra. Jimmy Johnson. Courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the judgment that something else is more important than fear. Ambrose Redmoon. The greatest test of courage is to continue in the face of disappointment. Ralph Waldo Emerson. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky. The only limit to our realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today. Franklin D. Roosevelt. We can't direct the wind, but we can adjust the sails. Ellen DeGeneres. The most difficult thing is the decision to act. The rest is merely tenacity. Amelia Earhart. The greatest obstacle to success is the fear of failure. Dennis Waitley. Don't give up when you're tired, give up when you're done. Unknown. Success is not about how many times you win, but how many times you stand back up when you fall. Zig Ziglar. The only way to get through hard times is to keep going. Alice Walker. The most important thing is to never stop questioning. Albert Einstein. The only way to make your dreams come true is to start believing in them. Roger Babson. The only thing that stops us from achieving our dreams is ourselves. Paulo Coelho. The greatest rewards come from takes. Jack Welch. The best way to predict the future is to create it. Peter Drucker and Abraham Lincoln. The only way to grow is to step outside of your comfort zone. Neil Donald Walsh. The most beautiful thing we can experience is the mysterious. It is the source of all true art and science. Albert Einstein. The only way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. Mahatma Gandhi. The most important thing in life is to learn how to give without expecting anything in return. Mother Teresa. The only way to be happy is to be yourself. Oscar Wilde. The most powerful weapon. Napoleon Hill. The only way to change the world is to change yourself. Mahatma Gandhi. The most important thing is to enjoy your life. Audrey Hepburn. The most beautiful thing we can do is to make others happy. Mother Teresa. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. Steve Jobs. In times of adversity, don't give up. Instead, focus on your goals and keep moving forward. Unknown. The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Nelson Mandela. Adversity is what makes us strong. C.S. Lewis. Failure is not an option. Vince Lombardi. Don't let the fear of failure stop you from trying. Unknown. The only limit to our realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today. Franklin D. Roosevelt. The greatest obstacle to success is the fear of failure. Dennis Waitley. Success is not about how much you earn, but how much you grow. Jim Rohn. The most difficult thing is the decision to act. The rest is merely tenacity. Amelia Earhart. The only way to get out of a rut is to start moving. Zig Ziglar. You can't control everything, but you can control how you react to it. Charles R. Swindoll. The difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is that successful people take action. Anthony Robbins. The only way to make your dreams come true is to start working on them. Walt Disney. Don't give up on your dreams. Keep pushing forward and eventually you'll achieve your goals. Unknown. The biggest obstacle to success is not failure, but fear of failure. Brian Tracy. When you're aced with adversity, don't focus on the problem. Focus on the solution. Tony Robbins. Setting goals is the first step in turning the invisible into the visible. Tony Robbins. If you want to achieve greatness, stop asking for permission. Anonymous. Things work out best for those who make the best of how things work out. John Wooden. Success is not in what you have, but who you are. Bo Bennett. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Steve Jobs. The best way to predict the future is to create it. Peter Drucker and Abraham Lincoln. Don't be afraid to give up the good to go for the great. John D. Rockefeller. The difference between winning and losing is most often not quitting. Walt Disney. If you can dream it, you can do it. Walt Disney. What you get by achieving your goals is not as important as what you become by achieving your goals. Zig Ziglar. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky. Strive not to be a success, but rather to be of value. Albert Einstein. The successful warrior is the average man with laser-like focus. Bruce Lee. I attribute my success to this. I never gave or took any excuse. Florence Nightingale. The best revenge is massive success. Frank Sinatra. Success seems to be connected with action. Successful people keep moving. They make mistakes, but they don't quit. Conrad Hilton. There are no secrets to success. It is the result of preparation, hard work, and learning from failure. Colin Powell. Develop success from failures. Discouragement and failure are two of the surest stepping stones to success. Dale Carnegie. Nothing is impossible. The word itself says I'm possible. Audrey Hepburn. The question isn't who is going to let me, it's who is going to stop me. Ayn Rand. The only place where success comes before work is in the dictionary. Vidal Sassoon. If you're not willing to risk you will have to settle for the ordinary. Jim Rohn. The road to success and the road to failure are almost exactly the same. Colin R. Davis. I find that the harder the more luck I seem to have. Thomas Jefferson. Success is walking from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. Winston Churchill. Don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better. Jim Rohn. The key to success is to focus on goals, not obstacles. Unknown. Happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from your own actions. Dalai Lama. The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. Helen Keller. Happiness depends upon ourselves. Aristotle. There is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path. Gautama Buddha. Happiness is not a goal. It's a byproduct of a life well lived. Eleanor Roosevelt. Be happy for this moment. This moment is your life. Omar Khayyam. Happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. Mahatma Gandhi. For every minute you are angry, you lose 60 seconds of happiness. Ralph Waldo Emerson. The world is full of suffering. It is also full of overcoming it. Helen Keller. Happiness is not having what you want, but wanting what you have. Rabbi Hyman Shachtel. When one door of happiness closes, another opens. But often we look so long at the closed door that we do not see the one which has been opened for us. Helen Keller. Happiness is a Charles M. Schultz. The great happiness you can have is knowing that you do not necessarily require happiness. William Saroyan. Thousands of candles can be lighted from a single candle, and the life of the candle will not be shortened. Happiness never decreases by being shared. Buddha. Happiness is a choice. You can choose to be happy. There's going to be stress in life, but it's your choice whether you let it affect you or not. Valerie Bertinelli. Count your age by friends, not years. Count your life by smiles, not tears. John Lennon. Happiness is the meaning and the purpose of life, the whole aim and end of human existence. Aristotle. Most folks are as happy as they make up their minds to be. Abraham Lincoln. The secret of happiness, you see, is not found in seeking more, but in developing the capacity to enjoy less. Socrates. Happiness is not a matter of intensity, but of balance, order, rhythm, and harmony. Thomas Merton. Let us be grateful to people who make us happy. They are the charming gardeners who make our souls blossom. Marcel Proust. Be thankful for what you have. You'll end up having more. If you concentrate on what you don't have, you will never, ever have enough. Oprah Winfrey. Gratitude turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos into order, confusion into clarity. It makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow. Melody Beattie. Gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos to order, confusion to clarity. It can turn a meal into a feast, a house into a home, a stranger into a friend. Melody Beattie. Acknowledging the good that you already have in your life is the foundation for all abundance. Eckhart Tolle. When I started counting my blessings, my whole life turned around. Willie Nelson. Enjoy the little things, for one day you may look back and realize they were the big things. Robert Brault. Happiness consists more in conveniences of pleasure that occur every day than in great pieces of good fortune that happen but seldom. Franklin. Contentment is natural wealth. Luxury is artificial poverty. Socrates. He is richest who is content with the least, for content is the wealth of nature. Socrates. The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. Helen Keller. Love is a friendship set to music. Joseph Campbell. The most important thing in communication is hearing what isn't said. Peter Drucker. A single rose can be my garden. A single friend, my world. Leo Buscaglia. The only way to have a friend is to be one. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Lots of people want to ride with you in the limo, but what you want is someone who will take the bus with you when the limo breaks down. Oprah Winfrey. A friend is someone who knows all about you and still loves you. Elbert Hubbard. Love is composed of a single soul inhabiting two bodies. Aristotle. The best proof of love is trust. Joyce Brothers. Love yourself first and everything else falls into line. You really have to love yourself to get anything done in this world. Lucille Ball. A true friend is someone who sees the pain in your eyes while everyone else believes the smile on your face. Unknown. There is no greater gift you can give or receive than to honor your calling. It's why you were born and how you become most truly alive. Oprah Winfrey. The greatest gift of life is friendship, and I have received it. Hubert H. Humphrey. Many people will walk in and out of your life, but only true friends will leave footprints in your heart. Eleanor Roosevelt. You can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than you can in 2 years, by trying to get other people interested in you. Dale Carnegie. A good word is an easy obligation, but not to speak ill requires only our silence, which costs us nothing. John Tillotson. The most basic and powerful way to connect to another person is to listen. Just listen. Perhaps the most important thing we ever give each other is our attention. Rachel Naomi Reman. Assumptions are the termites of relationships. Henry Winkler. When the people we love are stolen from us, the way to have them live on is to never stop loving them. Buildings burn, people die, but real love is forever. The Crow. Communication is the fuel that keeps the fire of your relationship burning. Without it, your fire will die out. William Paisley. Live as if you were to die tomorrow. Learn as if you were to live forever. Mahatma Gandhi. The only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Believe you can, and you're halfway there. Theodore Roosevelt. The mind is everything. What you think you become. Buddha. The greatest discovery of all time is that a person can change his future by merely changing his attitude. Oprah Winfrey. What you seek is seeking you. Rumi. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. Aristotle. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Lao Tzu. Life is a journey, not a destination. Ralph Waldo Emerson. The only source of knowledge is experience. Albert Einstein. The more I learn, the more I realize how much I don't know. Albert Einstein. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. Steve Jobs. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Steve Jobs. The purpose of life, after all, is to live it, to taste experience to the utmost, to reach out eagerly and without fear for newer and richer experience. Eleanor Roosevelt. Life is not a matter of holding good cards, but of playing a poor hand well. Robert Louis Stevenson. The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Nelson Mandela. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. Steve Jobs. Challenges are what make life interesting. Overcoming them is what makes life meaningful. Joshua Marine. Build your own dreams, or someone else will hire you to build theirs. Faraj Gray. The only thing that stands between you and your dream is the will to try and the belief that it is actually possible. Joel Brown. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra. Jimmy Johnson. The best way to predict the future is to create it. Peter Drucker and Abraham Lincoln. Strive not to be a success, but rather to be of value. Albert Einstein. The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. Helen Keller. Keep your face always toward the sunshine, and shadows will fall behind you. Walt Whitman. The difference between winning and losing is most often not quitting. Walt Disney. You have brains in your head. You have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose. Dr. Seuss. When you reach the end of your rope, tie a knot in it and hang on. Franklin D. Roosevelt. Always remember that you are absolutely unique, just like everyone else. Margaret Mead. Don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the mind is everything. What you think you become. Buddha. You can't use up creativity. The more you use, the more you have. Maya Angelou. Creativity is Steve Jobs. The best way to predict the future is to invent it. Alan Kay. Innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. Steve Jobs. An essential aspect of creativity is not being afraid to fail. Edwin Land. Think left and think low and think high. Oh, the things you can think up if only you try. Dr. Seuss. There is no doubt that creativity is the most important human resource of all. Without creativity, there would be no progress, and we would be forever repeating the same patterns. Edward de Bono. Creativity is allowing yourself to make mistakes. Art is knowing which ones to keep. Scott Adams. Every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once he grows up. Pablo Picasso. The creative adult is the child who survived. Ursula K. Le Guin. Curiosity about life in all of its aspects, I think, is still the secret of great creative people. Leo Burnett. To live a creative life, we must lose our fear of being wrong. Joseph Chilton Pearce. Creativity is a wild mind and a disciplined eye. Dorothy Parker. The only way to discover the limits of the possible is to go beyond them into the impossible. Arthur C. Clarke. Creativity requires the courage to let go of certainties. Eric Fromm. Imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited to all we now know and understand, while imagination embraces the entire world and all there ever will be to know and understand. Albert Einstein. The world is but a canvas to our imagination. Henry David Thoreau. Creativity is contagious. Pass it on. Albert Einstein. There are no rules of architecture for a castle in the clouds. Gilbert K. Chesterton. Everything you can imagine is real. Pablo Picasso. Inspiration exists, but it has to find you working. Pablo Picasso. Make visible what, without you, might perhaps never have been seen. Robert Bresson. The difficulty lies not so much in developing new ideas as in escaping from old ones. John Maynard Keynes. Go out on a limb. That's where the fruit is. Jimmy Carter. Creativity involves breaking out of established patterns in order to look at things in a different way. Edward de Bono. You cannot mandate productivity. You must provide the tools to let people become their best. Steve Jobs. I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. Thomas Edison. A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. John C. Maxwell. The best way to predict the future is to create it. Peter Drucker and Abraham Lincoln. Leadership is the art of getting someone else to do something you want done because he wants to do it. Dwight D. Eisenhower. The very essence of leadership is that you have to have vision. You can't blow an uncertain trumpet. Theodore M. Hesburgh. A leader takes people where they want to go. A great leader takes people where they don't necessarily want to go, but ought to be. Rosalind Carter. Leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge. Simon Sinek. The greatest leader is not necessarily the one who does the greatest things. He is the one that gets the people to do the greatest things. Ronald Reagan. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. John Quincy Adams. Example is not the main thing in influencing others. It is the only thing. Albert Schweitzer. The key to successful leadership today is influence, not Ken Blanchard. A good leader inspires people to have confidence in the leader. A great leader inspires people to have confidence in themselves. Eleanor Roosevelt. The best executive is the one who has sense enough to pick good men to do what he wants done, and self-restraint enough to keep from meddling with them while they do it. Theodore Roosevelt. Leadership is unlocking people's potential to become better. Bill Bradley. Don't follow the crowd. Let the crowd follow you. Margaret Thatcher. Before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. When you become a leader, success is all about growing others. Jack Welch. The difference between a boss and a leader. A boss says, go. A leader says, let's go. E.M. Kelly. To handle yourself, use your head. To handle others, use your heart. Eleanor Roosevelt. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. Martin Luther King Jr. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Margaret Mead. The purpose of life, after all, is to live it, to taste experience to the utmost, to reach out eagerly and without fear for newer and richer experience. Eleanor Roosevelt. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra. Jimmy Johnson. The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. Mahatma Gandhi. It is better to lead from behind and to put others in front, especially when you celebrate victory when nice things occur. You take the front line when there is danger. Then people will appreciate your leadership. Nelson Mandela. Nearly all men can stand adversity. But if you want to test a man's character, give him power. Abraham Lincoln. A genuine leader is not a searcher for consensus, but a molder of consensus. Martin Luther King Jr. You must be the change you wish to see in the world. Mahatma Gandhi. True leadership stems from individuality that is honestly and sometimes imperfectly expressed. Leaders should strive for authenticity over perfection. Sheryl Sandberg. A true leader has the confidence to stand alone, the courage to make tough decisions, and the compassion to listen to the needs of others. He does not set out to be a leader, but becomes one by the equality of his actions and the integrity of his intent. Douglas MacArthur. Innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. Steve Jobs. Do not follow where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. Ralph Waldo Emerson. The key is in not spending time, but in investing it. Stephen R. Covey. Don't say you don't have enough time. You have exactly the same number of hours per day that were given to Helen Keller, Pasteur, Michelangelo, Mother Teresa, Leonardo da Vinci, Thomas Jefferson, and Albert Einstein. H. Jackson Brown, Jr. Either you run the day or the day runs you. Jim Rohn. The key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. Stephen Covey. Time, check life. Therefore, waste your time and waste of your life, or master your time and master your life. Alan Lakin. The bad news is time flies. The good news is you're the pilot. Michael Altshuler. Time is what we want most, but what we use worst. William Penn. You may delay, but time will not. Benjamin Franklin. The time you enjoy wasting is not wasted time. Martha Trolley Curtin. One reason so few of us achieve what we truly want is that we never direct our focus. We never concentrate our power. Most people dabble their way through life, never deciding to master anything in particular. Tony Robbins. If you want to make good use of your time, you've got to know what's most important and then give it all you've got. Lee Iacocca. To do two things at once is to do neither. Publilius Cyrus. The key to time management is to see the value in every moment. Menachem Mendel Schneerson. Until we can manage time, we can manage nothing else. Peter Drucker. Productivity is never an accident. It is always the result of a commitment to excellence, intelligent planning, and focused effort. Paul J. Meyer. Efficiency is doing things right. Effectiveness is doing the right things. Peter Drucker. You can do two things at once, but you can't focus effectively on two things at once. Gary Keller. Your greatest asset is your earning ability. Your greatest resource is your time. Brian Tracy. The secret of your future is hidden in your daily routine. Mike Murdoch. Don't wait. The time will never be just right. Napoleon Hill. It's not the daily increase, but daily decrease. Hack away at the unessential. Bruce Lee. If you spend too much time thinking about a thing, you'll never get it done. Bruce Lee. The shorter way to do many things is to only do one thing at a time. Mozart. Lack of direction, not lack of time, is the problem. We all have 24-hour days. Zig Ziglar. Plan your work for today and every day, then work your plan. Margaret Thatcher. He who every morning plans the transactions of that day and follows that plan carries a thread that will guide him through the labyrinth of the most busy life. Victor Hugo. Lost time is never found again. Benjamin Franklin. Ordinary people think merely of spending time. Great people think of using it. Arthur Schopenhauer. Those who make the worst use of their time are the first to complain of its shortness. Jean de la Bruyere. Time is the scarcest resource, and unless it is managed, nothing else can be managed. Peter Drucker. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Franklin D. Roosevelt. Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not absence of fear. Mark Twain. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky. Fear is a reaction. Courage is a decision. Winston Churchill. One isn't necessarily born with courage, but one is born with potential. Without courage, we cannot practice any other virtue with consistency. We can't be kind, true, merciful, generous, or honest. Maya Angelou. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. Nelson Mandela. I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. Nelson Mandela. Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. Yoda. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. Joseph Campbell. Avoiding danger is no safer in the long run than outright exposure. The fearful are caught as often as the bold. Helen Keller. Courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the assessment that something else is more important than fear. Franklin D. Roosevelt. You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. You are able to say to yourself, I have lived through this horror. I can take the next thing that comes along. You must do the thing you think you cannot do. Eleanor Roosevelt. Everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of fear. George Adair. It is not the mountain we conquer, but ourselves. Edmund Hillary. Scared is what you're feeling. Brave is what you're doing. Emma Donahue. Doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. Susie Kassem. Courage is being scared to death but saddling up anyway. John Wayne. Life shrinks or expands in proportion to one's courage. Anais Nin. A man with outward courage dares to die. A man with inner courage dares to live. Lao Tzu. Have enough courage to trust love one more time, and always one more time. Maya Angelou. Courage starts with showing up and letting ourselves be seen. Brené Brown. The only way to get rid of fear is to go through it. Unknown. Fear makes the wolf bigger than he is. German proverb. Fear is only as deep as the mind allows. Japanese proverb. Do one thing every day that scares you. Eleanor Roosevelt. Our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt. William Shakespeare. Inaction breeds doubt and fear. Action breeds confidence and courage. If you want to conquer fear, do not sit home and think about it. Go out and get busy. Dale Carnegie. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Winston Churchill. The purpose of life, after all, is to live it, to taste experience to the utmost, to reach out eagerly and without fear for newer and richer experience. Eleanor Roosevelt. Not how long, but how well you have lived is the main thing. Seneca. Strive not to be a success, but rather to be of value. Albert Einstein. The two most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why. Mark Twain. What is the meaning of life? To be happy and useful. Dalai Lama. The purpose of life is not to be happy. It is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference that you have lived and lived well. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Your work is to discover your work, and then with all your heart, to give yourself to it. Buddha. Life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning and purpose. Viktor Frankl. The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. Helen Keller. Only a life lived for others is a life worthwhile. Albert Einstein. Go into the world and do well, but more importantly, go into the world and do good. Minor Myers Jr. The greatest use of life is to spend it for something that will outlast it. William James. Live your life as an exclamation, not an explanation. Unknown. Life is not measured by the number of breaths we take, but by the moments that take our breath away. Maya Angelou. The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. William Shakespeare. Legacy is not leaving something for people. It's leaving something in people. Peter Stroke. Carve your name on hearts, not tombstones. A legacy is etched into the minds of others and the stories they share about you. Shannon L. Alder. Your story is the greatest legacy that you will leave to your friends. It's the longest-lasting legacy you will leave to your heirs. Steve Saint. No man has learned to live until he can rise above the narrow confines of his individualistic concerns to the broader concerns of all humanity. Martin Luther King, Jr. The value of a man should be seen in what he gives and not in what he is able to receive. Albert Einstein. Try not to become a man of success, but rather try to become a man of value. Albert Einstein. It is not what you do for your children, but what you have taught them to do for themselves that will make them successful human beings. Ann Landers. What you leave behind is not what is engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others. Pericles. You will be remembered more for your kindness than any level of success you could possibly attain. Unknown. The greatest good you can do for another is not just to share your riches, but to reveal to him his own. Benjamin Disraeli. A life spent making mistakes is not only more honorable, but more useful than a life spent doing nothing. George Bernard Shaw. I have found that among its other benefits, giving liberates the soul of the giver. Maya Angelou. The purpose of human life is to serve, and to show compassion and the will to help others. Albert Schweitzer. There is no greater joy nor greater reward than to make a fundamental difference in someone's life. Mary Rose McGeady. What we do for ourselves dies with us. What we do for others, and the world remains and is immortal. Albert Pike. I encourage you to reflect on the quotes that resonated with you most. Write them down, share them with loved ones, and most importantly, let them guide your actions. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. What step will you take today? If you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss future content. And I'd love to hear from you. Share your favorite quote in the comments below and tell me how you plan to use it to improve your life. Thank you for watching, and here's to living a life filled with purpose, passion, and unwavering motivation. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. Steve Jobs. Think about that for a moment. What if every day